Hi, this is Karma, your sustainable podcast. I'm Lena, and today I will speak with Jonathan from Kantar. Have fun!
How did I get here again?
Jonathan, hello, welcome to my podcast.
Hi, Lena, great to be here.
Could you please introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. So my name is Jonathan Hall, and I am the managing partner of the Sustainable Transformation Practice here at Kantar, which is one of the world's leading data insight and consulting businesses.
Mm-hmm. So you already said it. So can you a little bit go more in detail? So what is Kantar and what are you doing there?
Yeah, sure. So Kantar is one of the world's leading data and insight businesses. So really it looks to understand people as consumers and citizens and employees, and then helps organizations develop strategies on the back of that. And that's rooted very much in brands and in innovation and experience. And we do a lot of work across the world. So we're in 90 plus countries. We've got nearly 30,000 people. That's Kantar. And then the Sustainable Transformation Practice, which is what I lead, is very much about environmental and social issues. And so it's about really homing in on solution development and thought leadership and helping clients, and very much in the space of sustainability.
Kantar is a really big company. So how many people or employees are you, and in how many markets are you worldwide?
Sure. So we have offices in over 90 countries across the world.
Wow.
And we have, close to 30,000 employees across the world as well. A very large organization working with the world's largest corporations and with governments and NGOs and so forth.
And to understand it a little better, what is a typical customer for Kantar?
So typically Kantar has had a very strong center of gravity within fast-moving consumer goods or consumer packaged goods. Food and beverage and personal care and beauty and those sorts of organization. But of course, also, we work with every sector across the world. So, tech businesses and financial services, you name it, obviously the largest corporations in the world.
On your website, there is a slogan that says, Kantar could help to change the world we all live in. Could you maybe explain this a little bit, how Kantar could help?
So I guess, the core of what Kantar does is really understanding people. So I guess at one level, we have a sort of deep belief in the power of understanding people and connecting people as a force for good. I mean, I think if you think about one of the core competencies that we have is all around data. So it's the collection of data, it's the analysis of that data, and that can be primary research, or it could be, what we'd call analytics. So looking at, search and social data and analyzing that. And that data can obviously, be leveraged for our clients. And helping them drive their societal purpose, and so in that sense, it can have a very strong positive societal impact. And we do a lot of work, obviously, in the practice, which is really focused around helping organizations understand how they can drive their social environmental agenda within the overall sustainability strategy. So that very much focused on aligning their corporate objectives against the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, so that we can all, hopefully move the world in the direction which it needs to head.
Okay, so Kantar has been working in the sustainable field for more than a decade. Can you please tell me a little bit about the work with Unilever on its sustainable living plan?
Yeah, sure. So we've been, yes, as you say, and we've been working in this space now for at least 15 years. And I think probably one of our foundational clients was Unilever. So back in the sort of mid to late noughties, if we can remember that, we were one of the companies that helped Unilever on the original Sustainable Living Plan. So literally hundreds and hundreds of interviews with opinion leaders and with regulators and NGOs and people within Unilever and outside Unilever, all feeding into what a vision of sustainability could look like for a progressive corporation nowadays. And then that obviously fed into a journey which we're still on with the organization. What's the implications there for their portfolio of brands? How do they align them against certain sustainable development goals? What does that mean in terms of how you communicate and what you communicate, and how that connects with people in a meaningful way? What does that mean in terms of the products and services that are going to fill the gaps that people have in their lives, and help them actually behave in ways which are aligned with their stated values and beliefs. And so that's a lot of the work that we've been doing with Unilever over many years, and indeed do with other clients in all sorts of different sectors, in all sorts of different countries.
So in general, what are your capabilities in the subject area of sustainability?
Yeah, so really Kantar's center of gravity, as we've said, our expertise is really around data and understanding people, and then how that flows through into brands and innovation, and then how we measure all of that. So in essence, if you take that and apply that to the world of sustainability, it's really helping, first of all, it's helping clients understand even where to begin. So I think a lot of corporations, obviously they develop their corporate sustainability strategy based on where they can make a material impact. So if you think of those social and environmental factors, doing a lot of analysis on their social and environmental impact. But of course, then once they've done that work and defined the strategy, then what they need to do is understand how they can actually connect with their customers and consumers, and make that meaningful to their customers and consumers. Because oftentimes that really technical work is things that they just need to do, but that offer consumers may not necessarily value in some cases, or they may not quite understand the impact of. So really trying to connect those corporate sustainability strategies with what people believe is relevant to a given sector. Let me give you an example. So
yes, sure.
If you take the example of personal care, so in what we found through our global sustainability sector index is that personal care, which is one of the 35 sectors we look at, the issues there which are particularly important to consumers are all around overpackaging and waste and animal testing and water pollution and ocean plastic. So those are big ones. Now, a personal care business will be doing a lot in the background to align its organization with the Sustainable Development Goals, with the SDGs. But those are the things which are actually going to drive disproportionate impact with their consumers. So that tells us that those are the things that they should be focusing on. And so what that allows them to do is to actually in the marketplace really focus on those aspects. And then once you've done that, then you can actually start to build brands which are championing those issues, which helps you understand how to communicate with people in a meaningful way. It starts to guide your innovation and your product development in ways which consumers are actually going to respond to. So then you start to get the traction that we all want. And then of course Kantar, we do a lot of measurement and helping measure progress in those different areas from a brand innovation perspective, and understanding how people are being successful in closing this infamous value action gap, which I'm sure we'll want to talk about later.
Okay, if I understand this correct, then Kantar helps, so you help your clients to connect with the customer. So this is what Kantar can help their clients with in the sustainable area.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly right.
So you said it already before at the beginning, but I would like to know a little bit more about the sustainable transformation practice. So what is this? Could you tell me, please?
Sure. So this is a very specific practice
Yes.
within Kantar, and we have people from across the world, and what we do is we do work on social and environmental issues in the areas in which we have competency. So in those areas that we talked about. So really, we have a journey that we talk to clients about, which is that notion of where to play that we've just been talking about now, of, if I'm in retail financial services or personal care or consumer tech, where do my consumers consider that it is appropriate for me to be talking about sustainability, and really where I should be focusing my efforts. So that's really where we start on the journey. And then what that allows us to do is help the clients go, okay, we have these brands which could match up against these particular areas. So if you take Unilever, for example, as we know, Dove is all about female empowerment, and Kantar is all about moving beyond meat to plant-based food solutions, and Hellmann's is about food waste, and so on. So it's really about saying, okay, where are we going to put our stake in the ground as a brand, and then what does that mean in terms of the the products and services that we're going to innovate along those lines to help people change their lifestyles for good. And then really we've got a suite of measurement tools which help those clients understand from a measurement perspective how well they're doing in terms of providing consumers with the products and services that are seen as being relevant, how well their brand scores on sustainability issues, how well they are progressing in terms of helping people align their actions with their values and beliefs, and so on. So a whole series of metrics which help clients see how well they're doing.
Sounds interesting. What are the plans for the future for this sustainable, maybe for this sustainable field within Kantar?
Yeah, sure. So what we're doing is a number of things. So we're doing a lot of work around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So what we find is that while we think about DEI as being within the broad sustainable transformation agenda, actually many clients think of it as a quite specific area. So we've been doing a lot of work in that area for several years now as well.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we've codified that area, and we're really having much more emphasis on that. We've done a lot of work, particularly in North America. We found that clients in North America were more progressive in this area historically, but that is gradually moving, particularly into Europe. And so, helping a lot more of our clients understand how to adapt or develop strategies into European markets, or how to develop them from scratch, because it's something that's increasingly important. We're also doing a lot of that work within our client organizations. So we have something called the Inclusion Index, which measures how well companies are doing across a whole range of diverse, equity, and inclusion issues, and how that, and then benchmarking themselves against other categories and in other countries across the world. So that's a big area for us. Another thing that we're looking at specifically is futures. You know, as Kantar, obviously a lot of clients come to us and ask us to help them, you know, see what's going to happen in the future, to, you know, to help them develop their strategies. So one of the things we do in this space in sustainability is we use predictive analytics, and we've done a lot of work with the Said Business School at Oxford to develop analytics which allows us to scan, search and social and media data to really understand what are the issues that are going to be important, you know, 6, 12, 24 months down the line, so that we can help our clients isolate what those, you know, those key points of, those key pivot points are going to be.
Okay, so as a big company, Kantar, what are you doing within your office to be more sustainable? I mean, I don't know if it's something that maybe it's worldwide or something just in the different countries, but I think for sure should be something, yeah, recycling garbage, maybe. I mean, this is like the easiest thing, but maybe there is more to know.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so I think, you know, so we see this as the term we use within Kantar is ESG, so environmental, social, and governance. Yeah. And obviously that's something which is of increasing importance to all of our stakeholders.
Yeah.
You know, our employees, our shareholders, you know, journalists, our competitors, our peers, and of course our clients as well. And so we're on a journey to articulate a clear ESG strategy and make sure that we're moving forward. So across all of those different elements, we're looking at, you know, what those commitments will be, and articulating those commitments to hold ourselves accountable to them. And so, you know, obviously for a business like ours, our environmental footprint is, you know, not that large. You know, we're not a cement or steel business, but you know, there are areas, as you say, such as, you know, our energy footprint in offices, or the data centers that we have, or our business travel that we can look at. I think probably, you know, some of the bigger areas for a business like Kantar around governance, around data. So that's obviously something which is really important to us in the areas of corporate ethics. And then on the S, on the social side, you know, that's critical to us as a sort of, in the broad professional services arena, our people and our talent are, you know, are central to who we are. So issues around diversity, equity, and inclusion, we've had a lot of emphasis on that over the last couple of years, but also around, obviously, you know, learning and development and communications and engagement. Those are areas that we're also, you know, looking at in order to make sure that we can attract and keep the best talent.
Okay, so I know that I don't know if it's still like this, that every employee gets 2 volunteers days each year off. How is this organized within the company? Is there something, or is there a person or a group aware of this, or organize the 2 days?
Yeah, so everybody, as you say, in the company gets 2 volunteering days. Yeah. So it's up to the individual.
Yes.
How they want to use those days. We do have relationships with, you know, with some organizations where we do, you know, pro bono work. So for example, with the Unstereotyping Alliance and United Nations, and with UNICEF. But then also, you know, as I say, you know, it's each individual then is encouraged at a personal level to, you know, think about what's meaningful for them. And typically, I think, you know, our experience is that what's more meaningful for people is, you know, more local organizations that they can get involved in, and, you know, things which have impacted themselves or, you know, their friends and family. So, you know, we encourage, you know, people to go and do that. So everybody's passions there are different.
So do you know how many % of your employees take these 2 days of volunteers, just approximately, or do a lot of people do now? Or
Yes, it's a really great question, and I don't have the number off the top of my head.
yeah, sure.
But,
It's just coming to my mind, this question.
yeah,
That's why.
yeah, no, of course, no, and I should go back and look it up. What I would guess is that not as many people take them as we'd like, and I think as always with these things, I'm sure we could communicate better, and I'm sure we could encourage more. But certainly, that's something that it's crazy. It's such a great thing, and we'd love more people to be, love everyone to be doing it.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, in the office day, 1 year is away so fast, so quickly, and then my 2 volunteer days are off this year. Okay, maybe next year. So that's right. I mean, if you're not have a remembering email or something, most of the people will not take the 2 days off. Okay, so
it's tough. It's tough, and we have. I'm sure, like many big organizations, we have various communications channels, and we have things like workplace. But it's difficult to know if people actually read those posts, if they've missed them. How do we make sure that it's really top of mind for people?
Yeah, that's right. So my last question is, do you have any tips for my audience to be more sustainable in their private life?
Gosh, wow. So that's a big one. I feel a big sense of responsibility.
Yeah, that's a big one. But I really like to ask this question always at the end, because I think so the last episodes I really get really a lot of different answers. So I'm excited to hear what you would like to say to this one.
Sure. So, well, I guess I can only speak personally,
yes,
and that might be helpful.
Yes, of course.
So I guess me personally, what I'm trying to do in every decision I make is to try and see if there's a sustainable option, and see how I can just constantly move along the journey to a more sustainable lifestyle. So obviously in different areas that's different. So in, for example, clothing, I made the decision 2.5 years ago not to buy any new clothes. And so that's an obvious one, right? I think we've literally just invested in some solar panels on our house to drive electricity. So that's a big investment, but that's not everyone can afford it. But I guess a couple of examples. The other big one for me is that obviously work is a big part of my life, and I guess what we can do at work and where I work at Kantar is, as I said, we don't have a huge sort of footprint as a service business. But what we can do is we can amplify our effect through our clients. And so, leading the practice that I do, that I guess in my work life means that I'm hopefully driving the sustainability agenda. So that's, I guess, if you think about yourself as in totality, both at home and work, perhaps that's one way to think about it.
Okay, then thank you very much for your time.
My
was a pleasure. Pleasure too.
It's delighted to be here, Lena.
Yeah, thank you.
How did I get here again?
Do you like my podcast? Then please subscribe.